how to truly solve problem and how to truly build, our products. So there's a company in India called Choctocool. Choctocool is one of the largest refrigerator, manufacturing companies in India. And they became very successful. They were on top of the market. They were market leaders. But they realized that despite the fact that they were market leaders, they only just had, you know, 13% of the market. They were occupying 13%. They kept wondering, how can we be market leaders and all we are, all our market share right there is just 13% of an entire 100%. Then who is claiming the rest? Who is occupying the rest? And then the next, after them was just having about 7 or 8% or so. And that sort of, engendered a very, very deep curiosity as to why are we topping this market? And we are big, we are making sales, yet we are just occupying 13%. Who are the people that are not buying our refrigerators, in this India? And that sort of led to commissioning a team of about 4 to begin research into the market. And this time around, it is not just only data-driven research or over-the-desk research. They have to go right there, to the market, to meet people, asking them. Then they realized that the elite market of India are the ones buying their refrigerators. However, there is a huge population of, non-elite, but mostly peasant farmers that are not buying, that don't even care about their refrigerators. And that made them to go deeper in asking questions. So they started asking these guys questions, saying, so guys, why are you not using refrigerators in your house and all of that? They say, 1, your refrigerator is very expensive. Number 2, we don't even need it. As far we spend most of our time on the farm, farming. We leave the family in the morning and we come back. They say, but does it mean that you don't take cold water? In fact, the fact that you're even under the sun should lead to you taking it. So do you mean we have to keep running back home to go and take water? We don't have time. We have planted about 100 more seeds as at that time that we'll go back home to take cold water and all of that. So we really don't need that. That's okay. You tell us, what kind of refrigerator you think we will need? They say, you can't manufacture that for us. We need something that we can take from the house to the farm and that will work and cool our water for us right on the farm, and we can take it from the farm back to the house. And in fact, do you think we need it? We don't need it. We would rather use our pot. We have this clay pot at home that cools water, and we just take water from it and bring it to the farm. And then we use that. And then this information given to these researchers sparked something in them. And they started asking more questions. Say, okay, what about if we create a refrigerator that is portable, doesn't use electricity? Because they also complain about electricity. They say it doesn't use electricity, that you can move around from home to farm, farm back to the house, and then uses solar energy as its power. And they say, is that possible at all? Okay, do it, let us see. Then these guys went back, manufactured portable refrigerators, made it very portable, ensure that, 1 minute, please, give me a moment, please. My daughter, I don't know why it's, okay, sorry. So then they manufactured a portable refrigerator, made sure that it is easy to carry. They made sure that it uses solar power, as solar energy as to power, to sort of drive, its power and all of that. Then they took a number like about 6 to the farm and gave it to these guys to use. Then when they started using it, they saw that, 1, they could take it to the house and bring it back to the farm. And they started having a different type of experience where they could take chill water during farming. And it made them really very excited. And that excitement led to them calling these guys and saying, see, we love your refrigerator. It's really so nice. We love it. Bring more. There are more farmers that we know that will need this. From 6, they brought another 60. At this point in time, they were not selling, but of course, they have the money to actually afford not to sell it and all of that. But at the core of this is that, but then they came back after 6 months. They realized that the 60 that they had given to these guys, some of them have started using it to sell in stores, shops, and all of that. And they manufactured more and they saw the demand. The demand was so massive, and the market grew from 13% to over 75%, where they have refrigerators for the elite market on one side and refrigerators for the non-elite market. What am I trying to point out? When you are trying to build something, you want to build a venture, it's important to go right deep into where the problem exists and ask how they feel, the pains that they are going through with the problem. Because when you go right where those who are feeling the pain are and you ask that question, it allows you to know how best to build. Bearing in mind that whatever it is that you are building, you cannot build out of assumption. You can only build out of predictive, information that has been given to you by the users themselves that you can use to now predict innovation and build the venture or ideate on the product. Now you realize that before these guys went back to manufacture the fridge, the refrigerator, the portable refrigerator, they asked questions about how they think that they should manufacture that. That inspired the ideation process of that product. Now, this will now begin my presentation. Let us keep at the back of our mind that whatever product you are building right now, ask yourself, are you building this product based on assumption, or you are building this product based on gathered information from the users? This is what will inspire your core build. So now, when these guys created the first product, I call it MVP, minimum viable products. That minimum viable product was what they took to these guys to use, to test, to see the kind of experience that will come out from. Now, usually when you build an MVP, it helps you to achieve two things. It helps you to achieve what we call automatic demand, and it also helps you to understand the type of experience that product is giving to the user, so that way you are able to shape that MVP to now become a proper product, and that is what will now become the venture. I always say that don't rush to register a company and then start building product when you have not created an MVP to test, because the MVP could actually change when you are building. A lot of people wait till they build the product and finish the product, take the product to market, and then the market does not want the product. Then they go back and dismantle the product. Time would have been wasted, money would have been spent, a lot would have gone down the drain during that exercise. So the $1 million question worth asking is, what if we found ourselves building something that nobody wanted? This is an important question that we must always ask ourselves when it comes to building a venture or trying to ideate a product that people will use. Let's not forget, we have to build what people want, what can command an automatic demand, and what will build an essential experience that can be replicated, duplicated, and can be escalated. This is very important when it comes to, building. The main reason why startups fail is that they don't have ideas or build products that meet customers' need. For this reason, to launch your startup, it's important to have a pre-launch startup as a goal. One, turn ideas into product and measure how customers respond to it. I always say, before you set up a company, build a product first. And the reason for that is because when you build that minimum product, you take it to the user helps you to determine if you can turn that product into a venture. You get? So turn ideas into product and measure how customers respond to it in order to learn as fast as possible how best you can actually come up with, get ideas from them that will enable you to build, to improve that product. The quicker you can test your assumptions, the quicker you can get to market and grow your startup. It is important. The reason why a lot of startups struggle is because they build a product nobody wanted. Instead of them to build something very small, take it to market and see how people are responding to that product, and then we take it. And at our venture studios, for example, yes, of course, this is why feasibility study is being done. But then the reality is that a lot of the feasibility studies that are being done are often based on thesis. These are based on asking questions, which is good. But then it's also important that when you're asking your questions, you are asking the questions from the right audience. This is also an important element. But of course, feasibility study is very important when it comes to building. First sign of failure. Too many startups begin with an idea for a product that they think people want. Then they spend months, sometimes years, perfecting that product without ever showing the product to the prospective user. This is the first sign that you are likely failing as a founder. So the goal of a pre-launch startup is extremely simple: to launch quick, launch something good or bad very quickly. Now, the core of this conversation when it comes to venture building in itself is that while ideating, you must put into perspective the user questioning. You must ask questions from the users from the beginning. Number two, build very lean. Build very lean. The purpose of building very lean is for you not to waste resources and for you to have a product, something as simple as getting documenting the experience and getting the actual, experience that the user truly wants before you now even launch a proper, product. So what is an MVP? Minimum viable product is what it means. It's a basic launchable version of the product that supports minimal yet must have features of your product. An MVP is created with intent to enable faster time to market, attract early adopters, and achieve product market fit. I repeat that. It enables you to go to market faster because we are now going at a very small level. You attract early adopters of that product to know that, okay, these are my actual users, and this is how I'm going to scale these users. Because you are scaling your product, you're also scaling the users. And oftentimes, the right way users get to scale is when they apply the word of mouth. And how can you apply word of mouth when you are building, when you try to create experience? So for me, the best way to build is build a little, go to the user, let them use it, get feedback, and see if they will take that same experience to the next person. If they cannot take it to the next person, that means you need to go back and reiterate. It's very important. And then also, this also enables you to achieve product market fit as quickly as possible. How does the MVP really help you? Like I mentioned earlier, and make it an early market entry, which leads to, market advantage and all of that. Let me move this upward. Okay. It leads to a competitive market advantage, thereby saving money. It enables early testing of the idea with actual users to check whether the product is able to solve their problems. Don't forget, like I mentioned, you are building a product, you are ideating a product from a problem perspective. So while ideating, you have to continue to put at the center of that ideation the problems you are solving and the experience that the users are giving to you. And this is what will allow you to continue to build that product and make it better for the users, because it has to basically solve a problem, and that problem has to continue to remain solved in the process of building your product. Also, working effectively towards improving the concept and developing a full product that resonates with user feedback and suggestions. This also allows you to learn and grow as soon as possible, as fast as you can, while building. Now, MVP, the product in its fastest, smallest, and least version. An MVP provides answers to some strategic questions founders sometimes ignore to ask. One, what value does our startup offer to its users? How can it benefit them? Why would they buy the product? I don't know if you ask yourself this question. It is very key. I'll give you a very quick example. So we wanted to get into the market of, agent banking, where we give POS terminals to vendors to, play. And then we looked at our competitors, OP, Money Point, and all of that. Then we realized that they are playing, on a lateral market, in the lateral market, with their POS given to anybody that wants it at any point in time, or at any place that you want to actually position. Then we thought that, okay, what about if we enter into cluster market and we get exclusive rights to collect payments, but this time around we are connecting supply, to this payment. What does this mean? We decide to enter into informal markets, and this informal market, we sign, a partnership agreement with the leaders of the informal market, and say, see, let us collect payment for you, but we will not only collect payment for you, we'll also help you to manage your supply, which includes helping you to manage the purchasing of your supply, as well as the logistics that kind of brings your supply to you. You just worry about selling your product, while we worry about collecting your payment and also handling your supply, for you. So we enter into a number of markets, tested with the market with about 30 POS terminals, and we saw that the transaction volume was so much. Now, think about this. If we enter general market with the same 30 PO terminals, we will not do the kind of transaction volume that we did in a month. You get? But because we've entered into cluster market, we have been given that right to process all the payments. So when the woman who is selling tomato, somebody buys tomato and wants to pay for the tomato, they say, please come and collect payment from this woman. Because at the end of the day, we will reconcile all of that payment and give the woman cash if she wants cash. But most of the time, we take that money again, we move it to the supplier who brings the tomato to her to continue to sell. So she just takes out the margin and all of that. Now, that's like a different space with operating with the same POS terminals. While the other competitors are not looking at having that close-knit relationship with the vendors, we are having close-knit relationship with the vendors in not only collecting payment, but also helping them to manage supply. Now, why are they using us? They are using us because they know that we have extra value that we bring. And they are the ones that are excited about it. They suggested it that, oh, by the time I come to the market, it's late. Before I go and pick my product, it's also late. I say, don't worry, we'll handle all of that for you and all of that. What am I saying in essence? We've been able to capture the value. We have seen how the product can benefit the user. And then most importantly, we now have a reason why they will use our product. They are using our product not only because we are collecting payment for them, but they are using our product because we are also helping them to handle some back-end issues that allows them to manage time, at the home front and all of that. So for us, we see that as an opportunity. And now we now have up to 800 POS machines. And guess what? The way we work in our venture studio, we work in such a way that if you don't generate revenue, we don't grow the business. So it is the revenue that you generate from the business. So oftentimes we don't go and ask for capital because even the venture studio was a bootstrap business. But then we sit back and look at how can we create value that generates revenue, that we can pour back the revenue into the business to finance the asset part of the business, to be able to grow the business, since we've been able to figure out what the moving needle of that business. And guess what? The same 30 business, the 30 terminals that we brought in has now become over 800 at this point in time. Why? Because as we are making more money, we are putting the money back into the business, and then there is automatic demand. We are moving from one cluster market to the other. MVPs also allow businesses to minimize errors in the development process using the MVP methodology, which of course I will share in the midst of this conversation. The clear understanding of project requirement enables the team to make trade-offs between product performance and other elements such as cost, time to market, and project risk, which of course I've mentioned in my explanations. Now, there's a methodology around how you can build your MVP, which technically forms the basis of your product as the ideation and your venture building in itself. See, I did not come here to come and say, hey, this is how to build a venture, or this is how. Well, I'm trying to deal with the very core of what you really need to do to be able to arrive at that point where you can now say, yes, I have a venture, or I've ideated in a proper manner that allows me to convert my my product into a venture that can now scale. Now the structure is called the simple structure, simple strategy. Start with market research. 2, ideate on value ideation. 3, map out user flow. It's important to do that. Prioritize MVP features, then launch the MVP. Exercise BML, build, measure, and learn. You will see from my example and the initial example I gave to you about Chotoku, there is a BML exercise that was being done. They build, they measure, they learn. How are they building? They built the product, they went to the guys, used it, they gave them feedback, they brought the feedback back, improved, brought more, and then that market escalated. That is the best way to sort of build. The MVP methodology helps us in testing, designing, delivering, and validating founders' business ideas and final product. This process allows us to stay focused, minimize errors, manage resources, save energy, and gain market entry as fast as possible. This process is called simple. I've done this for a number of our startups. One of our startups, which is a legal tech startup, when we started very small by trying to hire lawyers to offer services in an enclosed unit. But then we gave the lawyers an independence. What is the independent structure? We say, for every service you offer, we get to share revenue with you. And then they were very excited. When they were excited, we started seeing, how they were growing. But then something happened. We now saw that we got more deals into the platform than we have more lawyers. We cannot continue to hire lawyers like that. What did you do? We pivoted based on that experience because we now saw that the lawyers can now offer these services, but they want more tools. So the platform has now been pivoted into an operating system for lawyers to create their own virtual law firms on the platform, where through their virtual law firms, they have access to AI-enabled documentation, document signing processes. They can do their notarized document. They can collect payment. They can manage conversations. They can keep a track record of what they have been doing for the last 10 years or for the next 10 years and all of that on the platform. Now, a lawyer can finish school now and immediately come on the platform, open their own virtual law firm, and have their customers on that platform to make things very seamless. And they can also keep track of whatever it is that they are offering on that platform. Now, for us, that is some growth. For and the good thing is that we have a ruthless founder around it. And as she goes into market with this new product, there's just automatic growth. How is that growth automatic? Lawyers started telling other lawyers, say, as you are finishing your law school, you can join Pocket Lawyers and have your product and have your own virtual law firm to start. They will bring customers to you where you just offer the service. You can also onboard your own customers on this platform and manage these customers on this platform. Now, there are people in Kenya wanting to use this service. There are people in Ghana wanting to do this service. What did we build? A simple technology platform. We don't even need to do anything with the law schools or law authorities in Ghana to be able to offer this service. It's just a technology platform that allows lawyers to practice seamlessly without having to go through the hassle, of having to look at documents and all of those kind of stuff. It's the simple process of ideating on the value addition that you are creating. It's important. The number 2 is very important, to ideate on the exact value. But oftentimes you will see that you have an idea out of a eureka moment. You see a problem that you truly want to solve. You feel that pain, but because you are not talking to those who are actually truly feeling that pain, you are unable to shape that value into what can truly add or map out that user flow or that experience, create that experience for the users. The simple process methodology sort of helps you, build that. Now, there a quick fact that we need to put into perspective. 29% of startups fail because they run out of cash, yes? Startups that scale properly grow 20 times faster than those that scale prematurely. But without an MVP, startups will spend so much time in product development and, worst of all, build something that nobody wants. It's important to pick up that fact in this. Now, a few things to also note, which are like 5 steps to building your MVP. Note the first goal of a pre-launch startup is to build and launch quickly with an MVP. Secondly, focus on building and launching extremely limited functionalities. A lot of people want to build their product and launch all the features, but then that's not the way it works. Founders need to focus only on initial users' needs, the very simplest and most valuable things or features. Solve top problems only. Others can always come later. The third most important thing is to get some initial customer to use your product. This can be done with a selected group of people or target audience, usually called early adopters. The first step is to speak to prospective customers or early adopters and get their feedback. The feedback will help you know how to improve your product, scale, or pivot, which of course I've talked about. Lastly, build, measure, and learn. Learn from customers' feedback, measure your metrics, and learn how to improve your product, and services. A typical journey will be 1, idea to product, initiation. You initiate. Now, idea to product means you have an idea, you are not trying to move it to product. That is where you do all of the ideation. Initiation is also part of the ideation, where you are now beginning to initiate, the idea vis-a-vis the users, getting feedback from there. And then you analyze the information that you get. Once you analyze that information, you are now going to use that information to now design what to look like the product. Once you are able to design that, because with this, you're able to have a user flow and say, the user wants this, which means that I should be able to put this feature and this feature in my design. Then from design, you move to development. From development, you go back and test, which was what Choktoku did. They went from idea to product, did initiation, did the analysis, they designed, they developed something, just a few, took it to them, they tested it, and then it went haywire. Then they now went into the actual production of more refrigerators, which had already taken over the market. And then from there, it's maintenance. You now begin to maintain that product to ensure that it continues to serve the purpose for which you created it. I came up with a 19-point checklist to how you can build an MVP. 1, you identify the business need. 2, ensure the entire team is behind the approach. Perform market research. 3, identify the target audience. Discover how your product will solve the problems faced by the users. Collect all user journey and task into a single reference. That is what we call product backlog. Prioritize the task to identify what will be part of the MVP. Sometimes you might even have a lot of features that you want to build, but you can just pick 2 and say, let's go to market with these 2 features and see how it works. And then you kind of continue to add the rest along the line of development. Identify a development team to build your MVP. Decide the tech stack with the development team. Confirm the budget. Validate the information architecture of your MVP before starting work. Use wireframes and prototype to plan. Enforce branding style guidelines. Ensure the MVP build address compliance and security. Stay involved during the development. Launch your MVP. Identify and track the metrics that define success or failure of your product. Now, this is it. Sometimes you may have to take out a feature. Why? Because it's not working so much the way it should work. You remember Flutterwave when they came out with this payment platform, then they came out with Bata, they came out with Rave. Is it Rave or Wave? They came out with a number of stuff. But along the line, they started taking some things out because they saw that it couldn't just be part of the entire payment structure and all of that. Take user feedback, implement learning, and basically test. So I think I've come to the end of this presentation. I'm happy to answer questions, but like I always say, at the end of my presentation, building a venture studio can be likened to a baby letting his or her parent nurture him or her to growth. So at First Founders, our key goal is to help reduce startup failure rate by helping startup founders build their ideas into product and taking the product to market while positioning them for growth and scale. Simply put, as building an MVP. So First Founders is a company of startups building the next unicorns. We develop ideas into product and product into great companies. Venture studio market has seen an incredible 625% growth across the world. Startups co-founded by venture studios scale faster and provide better returns to investors. On average, these startups have a 53% internal rate of returns. We build startups, we build products, and then we basically, work with founders to build. So I'm hoping and believing that I've made some sense in today's session, and I'm happy to answer questions and interact further along the same topic. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much, DLM. Thank you. You've done fantastic justice to the topic at hand today. And if I would just like to reiterate some of the key points that I noted down from your speech and your session right now would be, whenever anybody is building, make sure you don't build in assumption or in isolation of your customer. Make sure you go down to where the problems are, go to the root of the issue, ask the necessary questions. Then that will lead you to what you are expected and needed to do in terms of your building, and that will definitely lead you to the venture in itself. One other thing that I was able to note down again is that turning your ideas into products in itself, you must first of all build a product before launching into the market. I mean, before you get to go find a mass market for yourself, you need to build in nimbles, build small, then take it to the customer. I iterate based on the feedback that you're getting from the customer before you now escalate that product into what you are building or scaling on the product for. And one thing again that I was able to take again from you was you have given a point about building very lean. You said we should build very lean. I did from the problem perspective, and as well make sure that you are able to generate revenue at first before you then start thinking about growing the business in itself. And lastly would be that remember the simple strategy. Don't forget that in your building journey. I would like to entertain questions from people on the call at this time. If you have questions, would you like to put them in the chat section, or you're mute, or just raise your hand and you'll mute yourself and ask these questions? Anyone from the audience? While we wait for the audience to prepare their questions, I have a couple of questions I would like to ask DLM. And one will be, when planning to start, what should be the foremost focus of an entrepreneur when you're planning to start an idea on a venture? What should be your foremost focus?
The foremost focus for any entrepreneur, to be honest, is to identify a core problem that you really want to solve. Because when you identify the problem that you want to solve, it becomes the moving needle of the entire business. You cannot set up a team, build a product around nothing. So the core focus is, what is that problem? And try as much as possible to understand that problem, and in understanding that problem, you have to go deep into knowing how that problem truly affects the customer. That way, it even opens up your mind of innovation to know how to better build a solution, for the users. So that should be the primary focus, aside many other things that come with it.
Thank you so much for that. A follow-up question will be, in today's climate, looking at everyone trying to develop a tech product or run a tech startup, so to speak, should every venture building be focused on technology, or technology can be adopted as the building journey progresses?
Well, reality is that we know that technology has emerged and is sort of shaping how we consume. I was reading a research document recently, and it says that the future sits on three pillars. One is digital infrastructure, second is digital entrepreneurship, the third is digital consumption. And it means that even consumption in itself is beginning to go much more digital. You understand? So while we still have our brick and mortar businesses that are still up there, you will see that digitization in itself plays a fundamental role in enabling even the brick and mortar businesses to stay relevant and up to date with the digital culture that sort of plays out. Even if you are building a house, if you think that, building a house, there are not smart houses, you get. So it's a key question of how are we going to integrate technology into what we are doing today, even though if it is not the core of technology. There are some products that are built on core technology. There are some products that are built with supported technology. You understand? So, but it's just important for you as an entrepreneur to understand that, see, this is what I'm trying to build, and this is the model this is the model to adopt. This is the digital model that I should adopt to be able to, build what it is that I'm trying to build. But saying that you would take away technology completely away from whatever you're building today, I doubt if that business will survive for a long time. Because if you also look at the digital culture now, even the Gen Zs of today, everybody has gone there. Everything we do is now digital consumption, which was why I mentioned those three pillars: digital consumption, digital infrastructure, and digital, entrepreneurship.
Great. Thank you. While I turn to the audience now for the questionnaire, I can see Victor Sunday, your hand is up. Can you unmute and ask your question?
Thank you very much for the presentation, and thank you, Rome Business School, for this great initiative. I really appreciate that. So in the course of, I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, you are audible.
Right.
Okay, so in the course of your last two questions to the facilitator, you said his answer sort of brushed off on the things I was saying. I have a boss who used to say, whatever product you cannot automate cannot be smart. So like when the presenter just talked about digital entrepreneurship, digital consumption, and digital construction, I operate in a strictly brick and mortar environment, right? And I've been looking at digitization, but it's still, okay, let's say renewable energy, solar on its own. So you've talked about the principle of getting a hungry crowd before building a restaurant, right? Like knowing what the customer wants before building something for it. And solar is strictly, everybody needs electricity, and I just get to supply that. And this is hardware things. And then you plug your panels, plug your inverter and the battery. The guy has light, you've solved his problem, he pays you and you move on. So when it comes to digitization of something like that, I don't know, off the top of your head, do you have something like a quick just intro on how to bring that up technologically or digitize an environment like that? Thank you.
Well, for me, if off the top of my head, if I'm to digitize something like that, I will. It's a business. When you are building a product, so when you have solved the problem, you move from problem to product. You understand? After you get to product, the next thing you are thinking about is distribution. Any business that builds a product without thinking intentionally about distribution, how that business will be distributed, that business will fail very quickly. You understand? So as an entrepreneur, if I have an idea like that, I know that that business requires some type of infrastructure. And I would like to quickly say the three pillars I mentioned. The third one, you said digital construction. No, it is not construction, it is infrastructure. I just wanted to sort of point that out. So following this, what I will do, I will focus on how can I build something that can enable that distribution. I will build an app for users that cannot afford the infrastructure that supplies that energy, so that there can be a collective use of one infrastructure, but they pay a distribution fee across themselves based on use on that app. That's the way I will digitize the distribution of that. I don't know if that makes some sense.
Yes, it does. It does. Thank you.
Thank you so much, DLM, for that. I mean, I think just to piggyback on what you have said, something that came to mind is if you can have a structure where you get to deploy these solutions based on subscription model, that your customers don't have to pay in full for the ownership. You can supply, then have a way where you get to meter their consumption in terms of power supply, and you get to charge them either on a weekly or on a monthly basis for a longer period of time instead of that for one-time payment infrastructure ownership. That's something that I think I would just like to add to that. Do we have any other question coming from the audience? DLM, please, people are asking for your LinkedIn link to connect with you via LinkedIn. If you can just help post that in the chat.
Okay, 1 minute. Let me do
box as well. And I think one more question that I would like to ask, apart from the two.
Adeyemi, someone is raising the in
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Sorry, I just saw that now. Tanko, please, you can unmute and ask your question.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Go ahead, please.
Hello. Good afternoon. Sorry, I'm kind of busy. So I want to ask a question based on the MVP. There are certain products that are made strictly for a certain class. I think the closest one I can think of is in terms of cars now. Rolls-Royce, Porsche, and let's say Ferraris are made for a certain class of people. So does that, like my question now will be, does every product need to have an MVP or it doesn't necessarily have to?
The reality is that when you are starting out a business, there is no way you won't test. Even before Rolls-Royce became what it became, it was first tested. It was first, there was a minimal feature that was built, and it was sort of now tested. And then they now started adding more and more and more. If you notice, Rolls-Royce continues to get better. The first Rolls-Royce didn't have lights, all those lights inside the interior. You understand what I'm saying? You get, so the reality is that there is always that MVP. But then now looking at the market set, you already know that, the target that you are trying to reach can afford to buy a luxury minimum viable product. So you got to build that for them. You get, that is where the psychology of sales comes in when it comes to selling to your particular market sector. If I'm selling something to how to sell to an influential person or a wealthy person, I already know that the MVP I will take to that person, has to be determined also by that person for me to be able to create what they need at that very minimum order. I know they can pay for it. Sometimes also, if you have the maximum investment and you collect all your data and you are sure of your data, why not? You can create a full-fledged product, but there's no way you will not still improve that product for that user, because at the end of the day, guess what? That user wants better experiences. Now, the question you are going to ask yourself is, how do I continue to better the experience? I think the mistake a lot of people think, we are all thinking about products. You know, most entrepreneurs think from a product perspective instead of from an experience perspective. For you to know that as a user, your taste, everything about your life, for the fact that you want your life to improve next year, the same way I want my life to improve next year, the same way I want everything I want to use to also improve next year as well. You get what I'm saying? So it's a key question of you evolving, continue to innovate, and continue to sit back and ask yourself, who am I creating this product for? And what will be the minimum that I can create for this person? And can this person even afford it in the first place? You get my point?
Yes, sir. A follow-up question to that, sorry.
Go ahead, please.
So, based on my own personal studies, I stay in Abuja. So based on my own personal, one thing I've noticed in Abuja is if a business is to start up in Abuja, start up big, usually, first 3 months you make your money. Like, well, like you probably make your money back, but after 3 months, like everybody goes away and is looking for the next new thing, which ties down to what you're saying about improving your business like continuously, which I think is one of the problems they have. I think generally in Nigeria, we have this thing where you start up a business and you feel like there's no improvement, like you have a standard. So
I didn't get what you meant. You mean that there are businesses that you do. What you meant is that there are businesses that you do that are one-off, right?
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear, sir. Yes.
So what I'm saying is it that you mean that there are businesses that you do that are one-off, you just move on, right?
Yes, some. I feel like that. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do them. I don't know how they work. I'm careful not to say it's luck, but sometimes there are businesses like that that kind of like check up and you're like, okay, how did they do that? I don't know.
And we have to understand the difference between entrepreneurship and being a contractor. You understand? You can hit a contract that is one-off and then you make money. But being an entrepreneur simply means that you are creating something. An entrepreneur is creating something, solving a problem, and that problem remains, with you as you continue to solve it. Do you understand my point? And that is what that cannot be one-off. Do you understand? Because you continue to improve it. The Microsoft software that you are using today was created some many years ago, but it's still in existence right now in different versions. You get? But possibly, the guy that possibly supplied the first machine that they used possibly went to get the contract somewhere. You understand? And that guy just got in that deal and he's off. But he did not create something. He only made money from something that somebody else created. You get my point? So going in the line of entrepreneurship and building something is different. That is why I call it venture building. You understand? When it comes to venture building, it means you continue to build the venture. It's a build. Building is a continuous one. You continue to build. You understand my point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, DLM. And as we round up the session, I think I would just like to ask two more things. One will be in 3 words, 3 action words. What would you charge anyone be on the building journey with today?
Well, if you are hiring me to build for you, from ideation to maybe fundraising, because there are different stages. We have the ideation stage, we have the validation stage, we have the development stage, we have the growth stage, we have the fundraising stage, and we have the exit stage when it comes to building a venture. Because from ideation, you also have to start thinking about exit. You understand? So if you say, okay, you know what, just ideate for me. You understand? There is a bank recently there's a bank that will be launched in the area of prop tech. It's probably going to be the first prop tech bank in Nigeria. They will be launching in a number of months, maybe in the next 1 month or so. I was the one that developed that product for the owner in 2022. So he only hired me to ideate that product. It took me, 2 months of questioning, going to different real estate guys and people who use real estate and all of that. But eventually I was able to come up with a very fantastic product, for him based on user experience. He paid me $20,000 to do that for him. So what am I saying? So if you want me to ideate, it all depends. I might look at you and say, hey, let's build the entire venture for $40,000, or let's build for $10,000. Let's build for. So it all depends on the situation. I don't have a markup, to be honest, because for me, it's more about the passion for what I do. If you come to me and we have a healthy conversation, and I see that you truly want to solve a problem, and I can see through your eyes that you really want to solve a problem. Why not? I can say, join my studio and let me even invest in you. You understand? So those are fundamentally the angle to it. But then when it comes to the development stage, that is a different ball game entirely. Then we'll now get the developers, the CTO to do a build for you based on what you want to build. But if you want to engage me on ideation, I mean, I do a lot of ideation for a lot of people, so I can even do it for free for you. It all depends on my mood.
Thank you so much for that. I mean,
I have a question. This is Nancy.
Okay, Nancy.
Yes. So I wanted to ask, do you also have the option of, if you're interested in the company, obviously, or the idea, equity? Do you consider equity?
Yes, of course. The venture studio that I run is an equity-driven business. So there are two sides to what we do. So with the venture studio, basically handles the equity side of things. So when if you like your idea, we take equity, take between 15 to 25%, depending on what we are bringing to the table. Because if we are building from the scratch, we are like your co-founder at the venture studio. But then we also have the venture building side of things where you get to pay for us to build for you. So equity, yes, is one of our big options.
All right, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, DLM. And I think what would be your last words, 3 last words for everyone on the building journey today? And if anyone wants to join as an experienced entrepreneur, how do they get to be part of the different cohorts that you run at your venture building studio?
Okay, so I'll start with the 3 words. For me, I always say that we have so many problems to solve in Nigeria and even in Africa. I recently just did a tour in a number of Francophone countries just to see how the ecosystem is. It's fast emerging, but yet there is still a lot of problems. There are several problems around fintech, around logistics, and all of that. So the 3 words I'm going to tell anybody in Africa or Nigeria right now will be: never stop looking for the problems that exist around there. There are several opportunities in those problems. Then the part of joining, I'm accessible on LinkedIn. Of course, my phone number, I can drop that, which is my WhatsApp. I can be reached, for conversations, all of that. And of course, our studio, we do an annual program called F2Cs, where we call for ideas that we choose to invest in, and all of that. So once those times come, but of course, sometimes if you come to us with your idea, even if before we call for the program and we like the idea, we can take that in. We just recently took an idea in healthcare from a lady that just finished from Johns Hopkins. She had a very fantastic, health tech idea that we love. So we couldn't wait till July before we picked that up. So we're already building that idea in the studio as we speak. So I'm a very flexible person, open, keep things going. Let's keep solving problems and improving Africa in itself.
Thank you so much for that. There are so many problems to solve. Let's keep looking for these problems. Let's keep thinking through them and solving these problems, and in turn, we'll definitely build a venture out of it. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming on the call today to discuss entrepreneurship, on venture building, on ideation. Thank you so much, Rome Business School. And I think before we round up finally, I would like Sarah Ugo to give us the final closing remarks before everyone goes off the call. Sarah, are you ready for us?
Okay, thank you, Adema. Can you hear me?
We can hardly hear you. Are you saying anything?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I think it's better. Go ahead,
Can you
please.
hear me?
It's quite unstable.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's better.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, DLM. Thank you for that very insightful session. So it's very insightful. We appreciate the time you have taken to take us through this session this afternoon. And we also want to appreciate everyone who was on the call, everyone who participated in the session today. Thank you for your time. And thank you so much, Adeyemi, also for moderating the session. DLM is on LinkedIn. I think Adeyemi dropped his LinkedIn chat box already. So if you want to connect with them, I'm sure it's open to that. You can connect with him. His LinkedIn URL is in the chat box already. So you can just check him out on LinkedIn. He's there as David Lanre Mason. That's his name on LinkedIn. So you can connect with him as well. And Adeyemi is also on LinkedIn. He's also on LinkedIn as Adeyemi Adetola. So if you would like to connect with him, you can also do that. And also, we dropped, DLM is gracious enough to also share his contact number in the chat box. I mean, that's a lot already. So that's a direct access is given to those of us that are interested in reaching out to him. Of course, I'm sure that this is not going to be the last we have in DLM, even for Home Business School. You can also look forward to many more engagement after now. So I can assure you of that. So for those who are here to sign in the survey that was sent to the chat box, you can still do that. It's still in the chat box. The survey is there. Fill in the survey, which would also help us to get your details so that we can share the recording of this session for those who are interested in going through the session again. And I'm sure if DLM is sends his slide across, we'll also share with everyone who are asking for the slides and the recording of the meeting. Okay, we'll drop the survey once again. so that we can feed it in. I can see some people asking for the survey again. But in the meantime, we want to appreciate everyone once again for joining the session. Thank you so much, DLM, for honoring our invitation and also for sharing your knowledge and your experience with us in this session today. I appreciate everyone once again for joining on behalf of the Rome Business School Country Director, Dr. Akanazu, and the entire team from the Rome Business School Career Service Department, which is in charge of the pre-incubation program. I want to say thank you to everyone for joining the session. And, bye for now. See you all again in the next session. All right, enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, DLM.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay.